Hello, beautiful people. Listen, Daruma. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be checking this video, and this is from the Whatever podcast, and this is about a paternity test and feminist as well as Andrew Wilson. So, we're going to be checking this together. Let's check it out.
You'd be offended if he asked you for a paternity test.
I would say yes, because it shows that he doesn't trust me. Because I feel like at that stage in marriage, it's like, if you don't trust me, then you shouldn't be with me.
Yeah, I'd be offended. And I think it would break something for sure. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but that I think that would mean there are other issues, like there's something to talk about. But yeah,
So would
I'd
you
be
refuse
offended.
the paternity test?
No, I said I'm not sure I would refuse it, but I think
Okay.
it would break something because the trust is.
Would you refuse it?
I would do it.
You
just
would do
to
it,
show proof.
but it would destroy your trust, right?
Yes.
Okay. Would you do a paternity test?
I would, but I would be upset that he doesn't trust me.
You'd be upset?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you?
Yeah, I'd do it.
Would you be
know?
upset at all?
Honestly, thinking about it, not really. Just because at that stage, I know if I know my partner well and he's like a little bit anxious as a person, I'm just like, okay, you know what? Just to give you peace of mind, here, we'll do it. And then if he gets his answer and he's like, oh, thank the Lord, and I'm like, okay, like you just wasted money and time just to do this test, but whatever, like move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I would do it, but I do feel if there's no reason to not be trusted, I guess if I gave him a reason for him not to trust me, then I do feel that's valid. But even asking for it, I do feel it's going to ruin a lot for our relationship.
Would it end the relationship if you asked for one?
Emotionally, I'm not sure about.
You got to speak into the microphone.
I'm not sure about like physically end the relationship, but definitely emotionally for me.
Wait, it would emotionally end the
Like the connection between
Wait, it
us.
wouldn't physically end the relationship? So you guys would still but you wouldn't be in love? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, if we were having a child together, I would try to find an alternative before, I guess, getting a divorce. But in terms of the emotional connection with my husband, it would break that trust agreement between us.
Before the others will come in, let me just say this, because I'm trying to understand this. We get it. Lots of women will be angry, but let's look at it a possibility or possible case. So you're going to get a job. I know this is not in the exact same way, not the exact same context, but get me or come with me. So you're going to get a job, and on your CV or on your resume, you wrote you worked on this and you did this and you did that. Your employer or your potential employer is asking for a reference. Would you get angry that your potential employer is asking for a reference? Of course, no, you wouldn't, because obviously they need proof. Now, based on what is going on or what we see in the society, how men are forced to raise kids that are not theirs, do you think it is a wrong thing for them to ask for paternity test? No, it is not. And it is true. Because obviously, if a man wants to be raising kids that are not his, he has the right to know. Because, yeah, look at the possible case. If you and a man were dating or were in a relationship, and let's say you're in a relationship for 3 years, and within that 3 years, you both were off and on in the relationship, and during that off and on, who knows what might be going on? You may be seeing somebody else, he may be seeing somebody else, and all of that. And you guys come together and decided to make it work and eventually get married. And let's say within the timeline of you getting back together and deciding to put in the work, let's say 5 months, you got pregnant, and that 5 months, you, which is the woman, you know that, okay, now you're 5 months pregnant, but he is not the father. But because the both of you got back together within that timeline, so he will be thinking he is the father. not knowing he is not, but raising someone else's child, and later coming to find out that the child is not his, but he is forced to raise the child, how do you think he's going to feel? Good, right? Raising someone else's child. But obviously, it's a wrong idea, or it's wrong for him to ask for paternity test. Does it even make sense? He has the right to know. Because obviously, if the law itself is favorable to men, men can decide not to pay child support, or men can decide not to take care of kids. The society would be coming crashing and faulting men for not paying child support, not taking care of their kids, not taking care of their family. So why is it a difficult thing for women to do the freaking paternity test, let the man in the know? How is it going to break trust? The man just wants to know. And we get it. There are some terrible people out there. But I mean, women, do your parts. But I mean, with everything we see so far, women are not even doing their part of their own job. But I mean, they are not being faulted. They are not faulted, or the society does not fault them. But if men don't, then it becomes a man problem. Make it make sense.
What about you?
I would take it. I don't think I would be that offended, to be honest. I mean, I do think, like a lot of other people mentioned, that it would be kind of a problem that we need to talk about. And I would definitely want to know, where is this coming from, you know, because I don't think those things ever come from nothing. But I would take it.
I take it. I think it's way bigger than just a relationship.
You wouldn't be upset, or
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think I'd be upset after like a while.
Anissa?
I would take it, but it would definitely be like hurtful, and it would also like indicate, like you said, like a deeper issue.
Andrew, any thoughts on the...
Yeah, I'd like to ask a slightly different question. What if he went ahead and took a paternity test without your knowledge, and then you found out about it? Would that upset you?
Yes, it's the same. I mean, it's worse even.
Yeah, but if he knew that you, maybe perhaps you'd had discussions about this or something like this. If he knew that you were against this, or you thought that somehow this was him bringing your integrity into question, and so in order to spare that, right, this is perhaps he's anxious on his own part or whatever, for whatever reason, he decided that he would just go ahead and do this on his own to establish paternity. In order to not upset you, isn't he kind of in a catch-22 there, right? Isn't he in a catch-22? Either he tells you about it and you get super upset, so he has to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what are his options at that point?
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't tell you, I mean, what you don't know doesn't hurt you, but
Right.
Like doing anything behind your, communication and trust is that, because even you said like it's bigger than the relationship. I mean, trust is the relationship, in my opinion. If I don't trust someone or my friends, what am I why would I be in the relationship with them? So
yeah, I understand that, but I'm not looking at this from your perspective. I'm trying to look at it from the other person's perspective. So
Let's even look at this from another way, or from another angle. Let's say you and the man have been together for a really long time, and the both of you are not being on and off, and this is somebody that you've been with for a really long time. And if the man asks for paternity test, then I get that is where the issue lies. But if the both of you just got together, or the both of you have been doing everything outside, and the man is asking for paternity test, it's not an issue. It should not be an issue, because obviously he wants to know. But if the both of you know that, okay, it is just the both of you only in the relationship, there is no external person, or there is no other person coming in the relationship. But obviously lots of people want to deny the fact, or deny these things, or hide these things, because this is the hard part, or hard side of the conversation that lots of women don't want to have, because lots of women do this and get away with. Some men are raising kids that are not theirs, and some of them would not even know up until the child is older, and then they come to find out, which is more hurtful. It's better for him to even know if the child is not his, the earlier stage. So if he wants to raise the child, fine. He knows that he's going to do it with his eyes wide open, which is not a bad idea. I don't think it's a bad idea, especially if the both of you have been traveling and be going different places and been doing different things separately. Except in those cases, if the both of you have been doing things separately and you deserve the right to know, you should not be angry yourself too, because something is wrong somewhere, and somebody wants to know what is putting his eyes wide open. Because obviously, if you as a woman wants to get married to a man and the man decides not to provide for the family or is not going to work, you would also want to know why. Or if the money is not coming, or if he's not doing his part to take care of the family, you will want to know why. We know it's not the same case, or it's not the same, but I mean, look at the possibility, or look at it.
Women are always assured of paternity. That's not a thing that they ever have to worry about, right? They know it's their baby because it's coming out of them, right?
Yeah.
Men are the only ones who are ever going to have doubts about paternity. They're the only ones. Since that is the case, if they wanted the peace of mind of a paternity test, which since almost all forms of family go from father to son, including the last name living on, I understand why men want a paternity established, especially now that we can do it. And for most of human history, we couldn't. I'm not even sure that, well, it's not even, I'm not even sure. I don't think that it even has anything to do with whether or not they trust their partner, but rather it's just peace of mind. So if you set up the option of, if you asked me for a paternity test, I would get super offended and I would be upset about it. What choice are you giving them except to go ahead and go behind your back?
Well, the thing is, like, my expectation is that he trusts me.
Yeah, but I'm not
yeah,
sure
yeah.
that it's an indicator he doesn't.
Well, you think somebody would just get a paternity test, even if he truly trusted you? He feel like fully trusts you? Like that wouldn't make.
So, haven't you ever had intuitive doubts about things which were absurd or didn't make any sense or were kind of silly? Like, for instance, maybe you had a dream that your spouse had cheated on you, so you wake up and you start smacking them, right? And you call them names, and you're like, how? And he didn't even do anything, right? It was just like some stupid intuition that you had. And then you're like, okay, now hug me and tell me everything's okay. And he's like, I didn't even do anything. I was just sleeping, right? So you can have, I just find it kind of ironic that you can kind of have these silly intuitions and you want those fears assuaged, but when somebody else might have what you consider to be silly intuitions and you can just put their mind at ease, somehow they're the bad guy, that's a trust issue. Why shouldn't the guy look at you, if you wake them up, for instance, and say, oh, I had a dream that you were cheating, now make me feel better? Why shouldn't he say, how could you not trust me? Oh, that's awful. You don't trust me? Now we have a big issue. Why are you having dreams like that? Wouldn't that be horrible to say?
In my opinion, I feel that intuition is very different from intrusive thoughts. So if there's no, I guess, inner knowing or maybe even a sense of rationality when it comes to trusting your partner, then...
Before we even continue with what, let me see this flash message. See where be going with this. The stats out on social media: loyalty test, reverse psych. I think every kid should be tested, not only for it, but medical research. But really, because of what the trend or the crazy trend we see on social media, men have the right to know. If is and I still make reference to this because obviously lots of women want to deny the fact, and truthfully, many women know who the father of the child is. And some women, because okay, this man is taken care of, or this man is doing all of those duties, so they push the child onto the man, which is not even making sense. And we see that as a trend. So I mean, if a man is asking that necessary question, it is not a bad idea. It's not a sad thing. Exactly what he said, because obviously women, of course, they don't have an issue to be the maternal, except it's for surrogate or except it's adopted or whatever. But when it comes to paternity or paternal, it becomes an issue. And the man would want to know if it's his seed or if it's not. Because obviously we've seen many of the cases where some men who are impotent or sterile, but their wife get pregnant 3 times, some of them 4. And they did not know, or some of them don't even know they are sterile. Some of them did not know that they could not even have kids or birth kids in their life. Some of them did not even know. Only later to discover that, okay, from where to where is this child coming from? They did not adopt. They did not do surrogates. Where is the child coming from? Abidika. So men too need to know it is not a bad thing. And in that case, I think the line is communication. Sometimes the way the message is being passed is where most of the women be like, oh, okay, they don't understand they don't like the tone, or they don't like the way it was brought. But I don't think many of the women would have an issue with it, because especially for those that know that, okay, yeah, for you to clear the doubt, let's go do it. It's not I don't think it's a big deal. True. Let me know what you think.
Maybe even a sense of rationality when it comes to trusting your partner, then you are just kind of feeding into your own ego or those intrusive thoughts that they're cheating on you, but they have given no reason for you to believe that.
Yeah, but an intrusive thought is irrational, right? It's an irrational fear. There's people who have irrational fears of spiders. They have irrational fear of all sorts of different things, and they're generally not shamed for it, right? So let me give you a couple of examples. An irrational fear of heights, very common. An irrational fear, like raise your hand right now if you're claustrophobic. I'm sure at least one of you at the table is. Yep. Every single time, at least one person will be. What about fear of heights? Raise your hand if you have that. Yep. Okay. So we already have established this right here at the table. There's two people who have irrational fears, right?
Wait, Morgan,
but the thing is what?
Wait. Tell Andrew, I don't think fear of heights is irrational. That shit's rational. Say that shit.
Brian said that fear of heights is not an irrational fear.
Yeah, what if you're 3 feet off the ground, dude? What if you're 3 feet off the ground? Then is it irrational? What about 2 feet?
Still.
Capacity for injury.
What if you're enclosed in a room and you just have a window and you look over and it's 50 feet down and you start getting queasy? These are rational fears. And so the thing is like, if that's the case, if you have an irrational fear that a partner could easily take care of for you, like for instance, you have a bad dream. A woman has a bad dream that the guy cheated. This is so common. In fact, there's entire studies on this phenomenon. Entire studies on women having bad dreams and that they don't mean anything and that it's just a silly intuition. But the number one thing that they ask their partner to do when they have that bad dream is to comfort them. That's the number one thing they ask is, listen, I know that this isn't rational, but I'd like you to comfort me anyway.
Yeah.
And so now, can you imagine if you could say, okay, if we can swab your cheek right now, right, these dreams will go away from me forever. Wouldn't you want him to do that?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I mean, wouldn't you want him to? Like, if you had dreams, recurring dreams, which you thought he was cheating, there was no evidence of cheating, right? It's all just inside your head. It's all just intuition. And all he had to do was swab his cheek, and he'd never have that dream again. Wouldn't you want him to?
I mean, I would self-regulate. I feel like that's something I would deal with myself. If there are no signs, it's really just like random and I'm just like, oh, like, and I don't see how that would come up if you don't see signs. Again, I think it would come from you.
Yeah, but you can misinterpret all of the signs, and that could lead to the dream, right? So you could misinterpret everything and have no evidence, be totally wrong. This happens all the time. Why is it okay for you to do that, just not men?
I didn't say that.
Well, that's what I mean, though. Is like men could easily misinterpret all sorts of things or have all sorts of irrational fears.
Yeah.
And if you can just kind of, I can just swab my cheek and put all those fears to bed. It seems really silly to me that when the shoe's on one foot, this irrational fear is kind of fine, but when it's on the other foot, it's not, even though women don't ever have to worry about that fear because they're the birthers of the children. They always have paternity established, just not men. Well, I mean, maternity for them and then paternity for men, right?
Well, some women sometimes don't know. Either.
Well, they may not know who the father is, but they're going to always know who the mother is.
Oh, yeah.
Fathers though, they don't have that guarantee. Women always have the guarantee that this is my child. So, if you can have those irrational fears and ask that those things be like comforted away because it makes you feel better, I don't understand how that's not just the same thing in reverse.
Well, I mean, it is the same thing, but that's in what I said is goes for in reverse as well. If a woman has an irrational fear or something, I think she has. I deal with my shit when I know it's kind of irrational. You know, I don't need somebody else to.
Come on. So you've never, ever in your life had an irrational fear like that and asked somebody to comfort that fear away? Like you've never had that dream and you've never been like, okay, I had this dream and I'd like to talk to you about it just because it'll make me feel better, right? Never?
No, not really, no.
No? Okay, well, how many women...
But, I mean, I guess it's something, but no, I've never...
How many women here have had dreams that their significant other might be cheating? Yeah, or maybe seeing other people. How many times have you thought perhaps they were, even though they weren't, right? You misread the signs. Can we get a show of hands on that? Yeah, I mean, it happens, right? And so the thing is I think that if you were talking to your girlfriends the next day, you said, listen, I had a bad dream that my significant other was cheating on me. And when I woke up, he said to me, you know what? I can't believe you don't trust me. You're a rotten person. I can't believe it. That's awful. And then went and slept in another room. I think that they would all be like, what a jerk. They'd all be like, what a jerk that he did that to you. What an absolute, all he had to do was give you a hug. All he had to do was tell you it would be okay. But then somehow, though, if they ask for like the most important thing on planet Earth, which is just establishing the paternity of their child, that's some kind of big ask. And that to me is just absurd.
Well, I mean, asking for support, it's not like asking for proof. It's different.
Yeah, it is. It is asking for proof.
Yeah,
You're asking them for the same thing. You're asking them to make you feel better about an irrational fear, about something which you know, they know it's not true, right? So your partner, your husband, your boyfriend, whatever, they know they're not cheating on you.
Yeah.
So it's accusatory. It's accusatory to be like, even to tell them, oh, I had a bad dream, comfort me. Yeah. That in its own way is accusatory. And it's like, so, but the expectation is like, well, they're men, you know, they should hug us and make us feel better about this stuff. But it's like, when it's on the shoes on the other foot, it's offensive, and how dare they? And I just don't understand.
It's offensive in both ways, but equivalent would be the guy not asking for a test, but asking for comfort. That's the equivalent of the situation. Be like, hey, is this me comforting and saying like, yes, he's yours. It's the same thing as like, let's say you said like the dream thing you said.
Oh yeah, sure. But let's say you could give if the girl was having recurring dreams, you said you would expect them to swab their cheek, right?
Yeah,
they would get rid of the dreams forever. You know, hey, will you just swab the cheek and then my dreams go away forever? All these bad dreams that I have about this irrational fear go away. And you're like, no, that's not appropriate. That's just silly to me. Of course, every man I could imagine would be like, yeah, sure, I don't care.
I doubt it.
I don't think they would care.
I highly doubt it.
I don't think they would care. I think that, every man I've ever talked to has woken up with a woman next to him who has said this to him, who has said, I think you're cheating, blah, 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 blah. And I know it's not rational. It's a bad dream that I had. It's not even true, but I had the bad dream. Make me feel better. That's
you don't think they find it annoying? You don't think they find that annoying? You don't think they feel
I think they find it annoying, but I think that because they, kind of adore the other person, that if she was like, oh, if you just swab your cheek with this Q-tip for 30 seconds, I'll never wake you up with this again, I think they would do it. And I don't even think they would complain. I literally don't even think they would complain. I think they'd be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. I think they'd do it while they're brushing their teeth. I don't think they'd care, right?
But yeah, this is an interesting conversation. I think based on what we see in the society today and the fact that many men are raising kids that are not theirs, because we have to look at the reality of things and look at things realistically, because obviously lots of women don't like to face the reality of things, which is insane. So if we're going to be going via statistic and realistically, I think paternity tests should be mandatory, just as it's mandatory for men to take care of their kids. If they default, then they face the law, and the law is being acted or taken up on them and all of that. They should have the right to know. I don't think that is a bad idea. We get it. It's gonna breach some level of trust issues, but let the man know. Just as how some women would be like, oh, they think or they thought their man is cheating on them, or pretend or whatever and all of that. That women too want to know and have that sense of assurance that the man is not cheating on them, that the man is going to be there to take care of them and their family. We get it. But let's not forget that this man himself, he has the right to know. If a man is going fully with his eyes wide open, taking care of another child or taking care of a child that is not his, then no problem. But if he's doing it and he does not know that he's taking care of someone else's child, and the person's child or the child's father or biological father is somewhere lounging without knowing that he has a child somewhere, is that right? Now, two people are just like, it doesn't even make sense. If a man has decided, oh, he wants to take care of the child or be the father or be the responsible father to take care of the child, it's a sensible thing for him to do, but he has the right to know. I don't think escalating or drawing all of this is too lengthy. Why now that is getting to men, it is men for them to know, or for women to act on and say, okay, yeah, let us give these men the assurance to know, so they know what they are getting into. It is a problem. But if it were to be reversed for the man, it's not going to be an issue, because obviously the woman is always right. But let me know what you think about this so far. Do you think paternity tests should be mandatory? And also, if women are caught in paternity fraud too, do you think women should also be arrested, or there should be a law that women also face the law as well? Let me know what you think about this, because obviously lots of the times many of these women are not held accountable for it. That's why we have a rise or influx of this. I would really love your thoughts on this. You can share the useful information you think might be really helpful. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.